It's 6:30, straight ahead on KXII 12 News Daybreak. Heavy rain is on its way to Texoma, set to bring a cool down along with it. Brian has your forecast.
Plus, results from Oklahoma's election night are in. We have the people's decision on whether or not to fund a billion-dollar project in Texoma.
And we'll also reveal the voters' choice on a number of school bond proposals in Texoma.
Now, from Texoma's most watched news, this is KXII 12 News Daybreak.
Good morning, Texoma. Thanks for joining us. I'm Annette Campbell.
And I'm Olivia Thompson.
Yeah, happy Wednesday, Texoma. And I am really wanting to know what the national day is. You kind of held out there for a second.
I have, but let's rope Brian Briggs into the conversation here. Today is not only a first alert weather day, but it's also recognized as National Toilet Day.
Oh,
I held on to it.
I was not expecting
reason.
that, but you know what? I appreciate all the toilets around. So
it is.
Toilet.
It's an appreciation for sanitization, how things have moved forward in that way.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I appreciate toilets too, but so that's interesting. But first alert weather day on the way for us here as we head primarily later into today and into tonight. So just heads up there. It's all thanks to our storm system that is on the way for really tomorrow primarily, though it is raining in the desert southwest, not really raining here in Texoma yet, but we could have some strong storms later tonight. 50s and 60s to start your Wednesday morning. And I don't think that the kiddos really need the umbrella or raincoat today. Bus stop forecast sponsored by Langford Roofing gets us into the 80s, so we could have a stray storm. But that's going to be primarily after sunset tonight. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Just a low threat of severe weather for us here. But then as we head into tomorrow, wave after wave of rain and non-severe thunderstorms expected. And we're going to be diving into just how much rain we're looking at. We also have another first alert weather day for your Monday of next week. So all that coming in the full forecast here in a minute. But back to you, Annette.
All right, thanks, Brian. It was election night in Oklahoma yesterday. We'll get to school bonds in just a moment, but first, the tax proposition to fund a big lake, Texoma development in Marshall County, has passed. Here you can see the final numbers for the Point Visa's tax increment financing, or TIF, proposal. This measure needed just a simple majority to pass. It will create an assistance district for 25 years to collect tax revenue to build the infrastructure needed for the billion-dollar development with the Hard Rock Hotel. Now, Olivia is in studio with more information on the proposal. Olivia, when could Marshall County residents see these changes?
Well, fairly soon, Annette. In fact, neighbors can expect to see changes at the start of the new year. That's when developers say they will get to work on the infrastructure for the Point Vista project.
I've told my guys that I want to see them out there on site tomorrow morning. Given by how the celebrations are going, it might be late tomorrow morning.
Yeah, Olivia, County Commissioners already voted no to this tax increment financing proposal earlier this year. So why was this decision brought to voters yesterday?
Well, that's a great question. After the two commissioners voted it down, the community drafted up a petition to put it on the ballot, and more than 1,300 people signed that petition, putting the fate of the TIF in the voters' hands. We spoke with voters in Marshall County about why they wanted to see this proposal go through.
For the changes, and I think it's going to be just great for our community. I've been coming to this lake since I was 3 years old, and there was always so much to do, and there was such vibrancy, and we need that back.
I think this is a good thing for the county. They need to give people something to come to on the lake. You know, this is a beautiful lake.
Developers say the main attractions at Point Vista, such as the Hard Rock Hotel and the apartment complex, should be completed by 2028 for visitors to enjoy.
All right, thank you, Olivia. Also on the ballot last night, 3 Southern Oklahoma school districts asking their voters to approve bond proposals. A reminder that school bonds require a 60% supermajority of votes in order to pass in Oklahoma. We begin in Bryan County with Silo Public Schools and a nearly $22 million bond package pass. The money from the bond will go towards a new cafeteria, a gym combination facility, and 4 new classrooms. Superintendent Kate McDonald says this bond was proposed without a tax increase. Over to Johnson County, Coleman Public Schools' $800,000 bond proposal has failed. It would have funded a cafeteria expansion and a new storm shelter. Superintendent Melissa Ferguson said her district needs due to significant enrollment growth and safety concerns. This bond would have raised property taxes by about 2%. And Antlers Public Schools asked voters to approve a nearly $8 million bond last night. It would fund construction of a new middle school. Antlers voters have not passed a bond since the mid-1980s that built their current high school. And the 40-year trend continued as voters turned thumbs down as the measure fails to get 60%. And one city council race to tell you about, Matthew Crow was elected to the Colgate City Council last night, representing Ward number 3. You can find all these results at the bottom of your screen or on our website, KXII.com, or the free KXII News app. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is seeking an unprecedented fourth term. KXII 12's Taylor Brooks tells us about his proposal to eliminate school property taxes.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has officially launched his re-election campaign. A major element of his campaign lies here.
You pay too much in your property taxes. Is there anybody here who thinks they don't pay enough in property taxes?
Calling for a constitutional amendment for voters to decide that would eliminate school property taxes for homeowners.
Property taxes are huge for school districts, especially rural districts.
Jeff Russell is the superintendent of the S&S Consolidated District and now wonders.
I just don't, the money's got to come from somewhere. And so the question is it going to be an increase in sales tax that's just going to do that? I don't know.
According to Dr. Russell, this would impact rural schools the most.
So in rural districts, we don't have some of the industrial revenue that comes in and some other areas that help out with some things like that.
And for his full opinion on this, it's too early to say. He says he is still waiting to hear a detailed plan about how Texas will be able to make up for millions of dollars in lost funding. Governor Abbott believes that tapping into a budget surplus is the answer to covering the deficit.
The budget surplus we've had each of the past 4 years exceeds the amount it would cost to eliminate any school district property tax in the state of Texas.
But to some, without an outlined plan, it may sound too good to be true, especially in the long term.
Now, obviously, it sounds really good to not have property taxes, but it comes at a cost, a significant cost when you talk about the future of students and education in Texas.
We'll be following the discussions about property taxes until next November. In Sadler, Taylor Brooks, KXII 12.
A white man is jailed in Grayson County, facing charges of stalking. The sheriff's office says Terry Crutcher allegedly broke into the victim's house and assaulted them and repeatedly followed them and put electronic tracking devices on their vehicle. In a separate case, they say Crutcher allegedly injured a small child. His bond is set at $50,000.
Staying in Grayson County, another man is in jail accused of shooting someone repeatedly with a pellet gun. Sherman police say it happened during an argument on East Houston Street. 30-year-old Michael Wilson allegedly shot another man in the head and face, sending him to the hospital. The victim is expected to recover. Wilson is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Sherman police arrested a man after he allegedly assaulted a disabled man on Monday. Officers say they found the disabled man with injuries to his head and face. 40-year-old Quincy Murphy was arrested for aggravated assault to a disabled individual.
Reporting child abuse isn't just the right thing to do, it's the law.
That's right. KXII 12's Austin Hedgecock tells us about mandatory reporting and what happens if you don't say something.
When it comes to child abuse, see something, say something is more than just a phrase. It's the law. In both Texas and Oklahoma, anyone who suspects a child is being abused must report it. It's called mandatory reporting.
I mean, it's all about protecting the children.
If a person suspects abuse but doesn't report it, that is a crime. Under both Texas and Oklahoma law, mandatory reporters who fail to report face at minimum misdemeanor charges.
A lot of the times, some children really aren't comfortable with law enforcement, so they're kind of our first line of reporters.
And child abuse law covers more than just what happens at home. It applies to abuse at the hands of any person responsible for a child's care, custody, or welfare. That means parents, guardians, school personnel, and child care professionals, amongst others. Investigator Eric Gann with the Grayson County Sheriff's Office says there's no one definition of abuse, and kids may not always know how to talk about it.
Sometimes children may not describe things to how we would describe it, but be mindful, pay attention to what they're saying because they may be out crying to something. It's important that information gets to us.
Anyone who makes a report is protected under good faith laws. Gann urges those who suspect abuse to speak out to help the kids and the investigators.
Without them, we're not getting the information that we need to make sure these children are being safe and are in a loving environment.
Reporting, Austin Hedgecoth, KXII 12.
Well, time now is 6:41, and it's time to send the kiddos off to school this morning. And I don't think we're going to get rain during the school time, but it's going to be coming sometime today.
Yeah, maybe not stress if you left it before going to the bus stop, but we will need it today.
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of keep your eyes to the skies later on this evening. That's when our better chances of rain move in. Could have a stray storm, though, as early as 3. That would be as early, though, as where we get it. But yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be mainly an evening threat. And then, of course, tomorrow, that's going to be your widespread off and on rainy Thursday. A few thunderstorms, too, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Another warm one for most of the day today, a gradual increase in cloud cover. Some of those low to mid 80s out there, a little bit of a southerly breeze, too. Maybe one more day for the lake before we really start to shake things up into the second half of the month. Here's a look at your Lake Texoma stats and your fish and game forecast for your Wednesday, which is sponsored by Blackbeard Marine. Good luck and be safe out there if you're going to be spending some time outside, which we've had plenty of outside time. And it's been a matter of time for something like this to come down. Storm system over the desert southwest, that is going to be creeping in on us as we go through the next couple of days. And that is what will bring us our next threat for showers and storms, and maybe even some severe weather. So here is this model. Now this one shows some storms later tonight. This one's kind of on the later end of things, though we do have storms again possible as early as 3, 4 o'clock, but really after the sun goes down. And then off and on as we go through your Thursday, rain, few thunderstorms expected here as we continue, and then drying out by the time we get to Friday. So if we do get severe storms tonight, it's a low threat overall of everything. That's the thing, it's just kind of a level 1 generally, so it's not going to be really a huge deal, but something just enough for a first alert weather day for sure. And then we also have that threat for heavy rain tomorrow. Now we actually don't have any outlined severe weather threats for tomorrow, which is good news other than the flooding. And don't get too hung up on the totals, but we could see anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches with maybe some locally higher amounts. So we'll see. Either way, it's a good soaking. Let's just hope we don't get a lot of flooding with it. Then as we head into next week, another first alert day for your Monday. Annette?
Coming up next, an 18-year-old in Oklahoma was saved by her brother after being stabbed 14 times by a coworker. Time now is 6:43. We'll be right back.
You're watching KXII 12 News, Daybreak with Annette Campbell and Olivia Thompson.
Welcome back. It's 6:45 on this Wednesday morning, and we're taking a look outside at our TMC Tower Cam, sponsored by Crazy AC Guy. A lot of motion down there. Hopefully, folks didn't stress about leaving the umbrella, but you will need it at some point today. Brian Briggs with the details coming up. But first, a teenage girl in Oklahoma was left severely injured after police say her coworker stabbed the girl multiple times outside of her own home.
Authorities say the coworker had previously been stalking her. Kylie Thomas gives us the latest on the situation.
Someone with a ski mask came up to my daughter on the porch. She was eating a burger, and what did he do? He started stabbing her, and he said he was so sorry. He said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and he started stabbing her.
An 18-year-old girl in Pottawatomie County was viciously stabbed 14 times outside her home Saturday by what law enforcement claims was an obsessed coworker. Deputies say the teen was about to go inside her home on Hillcrest Drive in Shawnee when a man in a ski mask began stabbing her. Authorities say the attacker hid and waited for her.
He was just obsessed with this female, and she had no interest whatsoever, and it just drove him to the brink of committing this crime, I guess. He went so far as to sending unsolicited like DoorDash orders, different gifts and things like that were not wanted.
Deputies say the teen and 24-year-old suspect worked together when the stalking began. Authorities credit the teen's older brother for intervening in the attack.
He saved his sister's life.
The brother was stabbed but sustained only minor injuries. The teen girl suffered wounds to her neck, wrist, face, and lungs. Deputies say through interviews and matching the suspect vehicle, they were able to identify the 24-year-old co-worker. He was arrested in Nuwala, where law enforcement found evidence they say link him to the attack.
Anything like this, report it to us immediately, even though it may appear and not to be a big deal, and it's just somebody that may have a crush on you or whatever it is. Even if it's the smallest thing, call us so that we can take an information report so we have all this information documented.
In Pottawatomie County, Kylie Thomas, KOCO 5 News.
A federal court ruled Texas cannot use its newly drawn congressional map in next year's midterm elections. The court said challengers would likely be able to prove the map was the product of unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. The court ordered Texas to use its previous map. The Republican-friendly map made Texas the centerpiece of a national GOP effort to redraw congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterms. Attorney General Ken Paxton says he will appeal the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. Time now is 6:48. We'll be right back.
From the KXII 12 First Alert Weather Center, here's Brian Briggs.
Good Wednesday morning, Texoma. We're halfway through the work week. Hopefully your day's off to a wonderful start so far. Actively not tracking weather right now. It's going to be kind of a quiet day, at least initially. Low to mid 80s on the way after kind of a mild start with those temperatures in the 50s and 60s. But it is a first alert weather day because we have the threat of storms mainly later on tonight. We'll get to that high risk here in just a minute. I just wanted to show you the temperatures and our Lake Texoma stats. Probably though one of the nicer lake days that we have ahead before things start to get a little bit messy into the extended forecast. But there's your stats there and your fishing game forecast for your Wednesday, which is sponsored by Blackbeard Marine. Good luck and be safe if you're going to be heading out that way. So here's our next storm system. It's right over the desert southwest right now, pushing east towards us. Really not doing too much right now, though we do have the possibility of maybe some strong storms as early as this evening. Now, this computer model is a little bit on the later side, but I would say after about 6 or 7 p.m. tonight, that's when we could see some heavy storms develop, maybe even as early as 3 if the early models pan out. We'll see. But either way, I think the main story and the main show overall for the weather is going to be tomorrow, because notice how we have several waves of rain and thunderstorms on the way that continue even into tomorrow night and also maybe even Friday morning. So we'll see. Either way, the only severe weather threat that we have tonight is tonight, and that threat of some tornadoes, hail, winds, and flooding, just a very small threat overall, but enough for a first alert weather day. And then we have the first alert weather day for your Thursday, all thanks to some heavy rain. 1 to 3 inches for most of the area with maybe some locally higher amounts, especially if those thunderstorms concentrate themselves over us. So there's those 2 first alert weather days over the next couple. Weekend going to be kind of a dry spot. And then we have another first alert weather day for your Monday of next week with another threat of heavy rain. Olivia?
Thank you, Brian. A popular radio station in Dallas has a special connection with its listeners. So much so when the host of the station's morning show pled with his audience to help him find a loving home for a cat he found. One woman pounced.
Yeah, what makes this adoption so special? The radio host originally spotted this cat thousands of miles away in Hawaii. Sean Giggy has more on how this all unfolded.
New Country 96.3 with Hawkeye and Michelle here.
At one of Dallas's most popular radio stations, a lot of important figures have sat across the table from morning show hosts Hawkeye and Michelle. But perhaps no guest has been as highly anticipated as the one who visited the studio last week.
I am nervous, and I don't even know why I'm nervous.
Never in the show's history have Hawkeye and Michelle ever welcomed a cat. To understand why, you first need to understand where.
Hawaii has a major cat problem. No kidding. The island is overrun, and they just don't have enough people to adopt that many cats. Hawkeye learned about all this on a recent trip there. And when he found out about one cat in particular, he knew it didn't belong in Hawaii.
It was a black cat with a very particular patch of white.
It had a little shape of Texas on its fur. And I said, I bet I can get that cat adopted by somebody in North Texas.
Hawkeye appealed to his listeners.
There's got to be someone here in North Texas who'd like to adopt the cat.
And found a perfect match.
Why did you want the cat?
Kim Kawahahi slammed on her brakes the moment she heard Hawkeye's plea.
I said, this is meant to be. This is my cat.
Kim says her last name is Hawaiian. Plus, her son and the cat are both named Kai.
I mean, come on.
And that Texas tuft on his chest sealed the deal.
I mean, how could you resist?
She met the cat, who she plans to rename Kona for the first time in studio.
Oh.
Kim is retiring in a few weeks and says now was the time to open her heart and her home. As fate would have it, she found the perfect addition. And perhaps Hawaii has found a solution to its cat problem.
Do they just need to advertise on the radio and you'll be there to pick them up?
Well, I think one's going to be my limit.
In Hawaii, thousands of cats are on their own, but at least one knows that home is where his heart is.
This is a lot different than the island.
Coming up in the next hour of Daybreak, we'll show you how a few teens came up with a new method for detecting lung cancer. Stay with us.
Before we go, a reminder that you can continue watching us here at 7 o'clock over on Fox 12, so make sure you join us over there.
I have to tell you why Toilet Day is important. Again, it's because, you know, sanitation crews work really hard, and I learned from Woody Patrick, who's the Public Works Director in Leonard, that, you know, they have a hard time when people put the wrong things in the toilet. So try not to flush the wrong stuff. Happy Toilet Day.
Oh my gosh, Olivia.
That's why it's important.
No, you know what? This is good. This is good stuff right now.
Yep.
But I think it's also a good time to transition to weather. Brian.
Well, you know, we are going to be flushing the hot and dry pattern down the toilet here as we go into the 7-day forecast. More storms actually on the way, which is great news. We need the rainfall. First alert weather days on the way, especially as we head into tomorrow. Now, we could have a few strong storms tonight. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, though. Some heavy rain on the way for your Thursday, and then another round of heavy rain on Monday. They're just laughing. We've been giggling all morning. So seriously, stay updated with the latest, and it's just one of those days we got the giggles.
What's your favorite brand of toilet?
Porcelain. I don't think that's
porcelain.
a brand.
That is a material, not a brand. Kohler. I like Kohler. It's a shout.
It's an important day.
Have a wonderful Wednesday.